said, we've now got someone presenting on behalf of the good people at Okta, our platinum sponsor of AusCERT2021. Hashtag AusCERT2021 on all your socials, please. This man has 25 years of experience in IT, including over 4 years at Okta. Ex-developer, now identity and access management professional, writing code to leverage Okta's APIs, creating customized user experiences in both web and native applications. We might have time for a couple of questions. Again, hit us up through the Q&A function on the app. Ladies and gentlemen, from Okta to speak on simplifying and automating identity-centric processes at scale, Mark Smith.
Thank you, and good morning. I've got the next 20 minutes to talk to you about Okta Workflows. As I was introduced, my name is Mark Smith. I work for Okta. So before we go to the first slide, or the next slide after this, I'm going to be talking about Okta Workflows, but the actual title up there, the Simplify and Automate Identity-Centric Processes at Scale. So Okta Workflows is identity-centric, and so I've underlined that to make it quite clear and differentiate Okta Workflows from other workflow tools that are more business-centric. And so I'm going to be talking about how Okta Workflows can actually be used in identity-centric processes. There we go. All right, fantastic. Okay, so those that may have heard Okta speak before, where we fit in the market is that we're totally agnostic. We're really trying to connect everything. So we're not really aligned with one product stack. Our goal is to connect everything. And actually with Okta Workflows, that further increases our reach. And so we can actually onboard and connect even more systems to be used in the identity system. Okay, so for a while now, Okta has, or part of Okta has been LCM. LCM stands for Lifecycle Management, also known as user provisioning. The reason why Okta calls it Lifecycle Management is because it's more just than provisioning. When you think of provisioning, you think of just creating accounts out in applications as they're assigned to users. But Lifecycle Management is also the reverse of that. So, as a user maybe leaves the company or changes roles, then Okta's Lifecycle Management will also go and deprovision access for those accounts assigned to that user. So Workflows falls under LCM, Lifecycle Management, and it's an extra tool as part of Lifecycle Management to do user provisioning. So with Lifecycle Management, you can see here that is the usual story of joiner, mover, leaver. As a user starts with a company or changes roles, then Okta will then go and provision access to certain applications. At the same time, with Lifecycle Management, Okta will go out and actually create accounts out in those applications as they're assigned to a user. And so that's a traditional LCM, and that's been around in Okta, part of Okta for quite some time now. And a lot of our users or our customers are using exactly that. But it does a lot of good stuff, but not everything. There may be some sort of extra things that need to be done as part of the lifecycle user provisioning exercise that you don't get with a standard provisioning interface. And you can see here that a couple of these things in red here, when a user joins the company, maybe you want to set some entitlements out there in the application for the user that aren't available in the standard provisioning interface. Maybe you want to actually go and, if you're using something like Box or something like that, you might want to go and actually set some folder permissions and stuff like that. So these are additional things on top of the normal provisioning exercise. The way that you would have probably solved a lot of these things in the past is via scripts. Because there wasn't anything off the shelf that you could buy to do this. So you really had to get a developer to write a script to go and do these customized user provisioning use cases. They're really corner cases, really specific to each business. And there's probably nothing off the shelf you're going to buy that's going to do exactly what you want to do. So the way that it's been solved in the past is to write scripts, custom code to do these certain things. But there's a lot of negatives that come with writing custom code and scripts. So at a high level, this is just an example of a workflow you can do with Okta now that you previously probably couldn't have done without writing some custom code in the past. User is assigned Salesforce in Okta. So that's a standard thing. The account is going to create it out in Salesforce for the user. That's part of the standard lifecycle management. But you might want to do more than that. You might want to actually add the user to the sales team. You might want to assign a territory for the user, and you might want to go and let that sales channel know via Slack or Teams that sending a welcome message to that user. Okay, so this is a high-level approach or look at Okta Workflows. I'll be going into a bit more detail about, a bit more substance to it, but it's a no-code environment. Comes with pre-built connectors, custom flows, standard, some templates to start you off, and also you can obviously build your own flows. But we'll be having a closer look at that in a little while. And so the benefits of Okta Workflows over the way you would have done these use cases in the past, obviously you can do it quicker. So it's a no-code environment, just drag and drop. You can create your workflow really quickly, really easy, deploy it, run it. It's really easy. You don't need a developer. Like an architect, business analyst could quite easily pick up workflows and use it. It's quite easy to use. And obviously, lower costs. You're not going to have to maintain those scripts. And also there's a lot of technical debt that goes with that. And here's a look at some of those pros and cons about the way you would have done it in the past versus the way you can now do it with Okta Workflows. As I said, you've got custom code, you need to maintain that. Chances are that the person that wrote that custom code is probably left. Maybe there's no documentation. Maybe you don't know how to go and change it. Maybe you've got no one that can do that, so you're stuck. And so, there's a lot of negatives that go with that. With Okta Workflows, it's a graphical GUI, easy to configure, easy to maintain. You can actually export your flow. You can actually upload your flow to a, source code repository like GitHub. A lot of reuse there, and so, because it's so easy and intuitive, if whoever wrote the flow leaves, someone can easily come along and pick it up and modify it if need be. Okay, so I'm just going to go into a couple of use cases now, just to have a look at some of the things you can do with workflows. This might sort of help you identify in your business some of the things that it may be good for. A lot of our customers that are using workflows are continually coming up with new uses. So anyway, let's have a look at a couple of use cases. So firstly, at a high level, workforce identity. So workforce is employees as opposed to external customers. This is just some very high level sort of areas where, workflows can really come into play. Identity conflicts, a lot of our customers, large customers might have two users of the same name. What's going to happen when we go and try and create the second user? And workflows can actually automate the resolution of that. Take granular actions doing on and offboarding. Maybe when someone starts the company, as well as deploying and provisioning all their application access, maybe you want to notify their manager, maybe you want to notify the employee, maybe you want to send a message downstream to some disparate system that still has to be manually has to be manually added to that system. So you can connect up all of these things and automate the whole process when a user The other half of Okta, what Okta does is customer identity. So this is identity for external customers, external users. And in this case, there's a whole swag of things that you might want to do. This is about user consent, storing user consent in something like OneTrust, maybe syncing to some CRM system that doesn't have a standard provisioning interface, streamlining the registration process, identity proofing, validating the email, all of that sort of stuff can easily be done with Okta Workflows. Okay, so here's sort of a bit of a lower level about what Okta Workflows can be used for. So the first one is user provisioning into Salesforce. So that's been around. We've done that for a long time. Second one, provisioning into Box, G Suite. That's been around for some time. Obviously, deprovisioning as well. But there's some additional things there that you might want to do that isn't available with the standard interface. So in this case, you might want to transfer the folders that the user had in Box to their manager. And you can do that obviously with Workflows, where you couldn't previously. The next one, you might want to actually create a ticket in, say, ServiceNow for some provisioning or deprovisioning exercise for that user. Now you can go and do that with Okta Workflows. And then the bottom one there, as I said, notifications, Slack, Teams, email, and all of that stuff can be easily implemented with Workflows. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Another one here, which we have difficulty previously being able to do, is provision guest users in Office. So now with Workflows, our connector into Office can easily provision guest users. And so this is also something that can be used for both internal identities, workforce, and also customer identities. Maybe you want your business partners to just access some documents in SharePoint, for example. Why provision them a full license to do that when a guest license enables them to do exactly that? And those that know Office, you've got 5 guest licenses for every paid license. And so you can obviously rationalize your licensing costs by leveraging the guest user accounts. You want to create some groups, put the user in groups and do all of that processing out in Office, for example. So now we can go and do that with Workflows. And I said, resolve identity conflicts. This is something that Okta previously had issues with. It's more, well, there's other ways to solve it, which are a bit more difficult, but now we can automate the process. So, if a new user comes along, you see here Michael Bolton, if there's another Michael Bolton that comes along, we can then put some logic in the workflow to go and name or that user account, so it makes it unique and there's no duplicate. And so that it's quite a simple thing, but it's an issue that our customers have had issues with for some time. Okay, now moving on to external customer identities. So not workforce, external customers. I said before, I mentioned CRM systems. So new user registers with Okta via our registration widget. You might want to actually go and put them in Dynamics, add a user to a group, give them entitlements to certain things, more like B2B as opposed to B2C. Identity proof a customer. So, a user registers, you might want to identity proof them via Evident, which is, we've got a connector now for Evident, so you can actually plug that directly into Okta Workflows, call out, validate the user's email address or whatever you need to validate. And then obviously send a notification via our Teams connector for some follow-up there. So these are just sort of some of the sample use cases that you can use Okta Workflows for. Sync and provision. So this is additional provisioning that you couldn't have done with a standard interface. So user registers, The partner is, you can check a list via an API call out, and based on that decision, we can then go and do some branching and do something different, depending on if they're on the list of approved accounts or not. And then another one here is, user consent, OneTrust, Shopify, and we can integrate and interface with all of those applications as well. Streamline operations. For whatever reason, you might want to need to add the user's email or information to some sort of spreadsheet. You might want to contact or message some sort of internal party of your company to let them know about that user. Do all sorts of stuff like that. Call any API. So Workflows can actually call any API endpoint. So you can really plug any other external system in that we don't have a connector already for. Security management. So this is another good one where you might have had to use some sort of external system to do this previously. Now you can do it with Okta. So Okta identifies some sort of security event, and we're going to create a ticket. We can actually clear the user's sessions. We can then notify the security team. And the same, the bottom one, the actual user themselves identifies via an email that there's a security breach happened. Maybe they got a password reset email. They didn't actually reset their password. In that case, we can automate, the account reset, notify the employee that their password's now been reset. They need to reset it back, and also notify the security team via Slack as well. And marketing, when we want to send the user information to something like Marketo, you want to log the user's consent in OneTrust, and obviously, fine-grained provisioning into Salesforce, like register a lead, assign that lead to a territory, notify that territory that this new customer has just registered. So you can do all sorts of stuff like that. So that's some of the use cases. Just to, before I run out of time, just a quick look at the actual environment itself. As I said, it's a no-code environment. It's a simple drag and drop, very intuitive for a user to get the hang of. As I said, we've got connectors, got conditional logic. It's really, as those that know it's sort of a workflow tool, it sort of matches with that. Connectors, yeah, so we've got heaps of them. They're adding to them all the time. As I mentioned before, that if there is not a connector in there that connects to the system you want, we've also got a generic one as well. Where it can connect to any web service endpoint, so you can really connect up anything that can expose itself via the internet. Comes with workflow templates. So these are pre-configured workflows that do certain use cases. These are really good for a starting point. So if you're not too, for more of the beginner, you take a template. It's going to create that workflow, that use case for you. All you need to do then is go and modify it and adjust it to do your specific use case. So you can probably find a template in there that actually is sort of close to what you want to do, and that's a good starting point. And using the templates obviously shows you the best practice on how to actually create and manipulate and do all that workflow stuff. We have a connector builder. Now this is soon to be released. So this is taking the one step further now to if you don't want to expose your system via a web service endpoint, which previously that's how we did it, you can actually build your own connector. So if your system has some sort of interface, some sort of proprietary interface, then we can actually you can create your own connector and use that in workflows across a number of different flows. Just to finish up, those that know Okta know where we're located. We're 100% cloud-based system. We have 3 hosting options. We've got US-based, we've got EU-based, and we've got APAC-based. So now we actually have workflows available in APAC. So those that have Okta APAC sell already, we now have Okta Workflows, which runs in parallel, side by side with your current Okta tenant. So we actually have now one in the APAC data center. And just finally, any further questions about Okta Workflows or anything else to do with Okta, please come and see us at the booth. I'll be there for a while and happy to take any questions about workflows or anything else that Okta might be able to help you with. And that's it. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks.
Look at you, Mark, finishing right on the dot of 10:05. That's the sort of precision I've come to expect from Okta, ladies and gentlemen. Track down Mark during the morning tea and go and say hi to all our wonderful sponsors in their various booths down in the demonstration area right now. We'll then break off into parallel streams, of course, in the middle of the day, and make sure you're back here at 3:45 this afternoon for the traditional finish to AusCERT, the speed debate. Some of the brightest minds and a few other people in the community on stage, knocking over 6 debates back-to-back, 1-minute speeches each in the course of an absolutely crazy 45 or so minutes. Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks again, Maddie. Enjoy your morning tea and your parallel streams, and I'll see you back here just before 3:45 for the speed debate.